Podcast City Network.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to episode number 175 of the Nest Podcast. It's the People's Champ, Brandon Brewer here, and I am running it solo tonight. That's right. Zach was scheduled to be on tonight, but he got called into work at the last moment. Responsibilities, huh? They always get the best of us. But the show must go on, as they say. I've sent out a few invites to a couple of the homies to see if any of them want to jump on and talk some sports with me tonight. If not, we're going to get through it anyway. We'll still talk NFL Week 14. We're still going to talk fantasy studs and duds. We're still going to go out there and we're going to look at what's going on in the current playoff picture. And you know what? I'm even going to give my reactions to UFC 269 that happened this past Saturday night live on pay-per-view from Las Vegas, Nevada. But before I get into any of that, there was a poll that was pushed out on the Sportszilla page on Facebook today, and I thought that it was very interesting. Ryan Gaskin said, what is the hardest sport to play? And the conversation in the group thread and the conversation in the comments has kind of gone off the rails because people are talking about the difference in professional sports, how difficult it is to get to the professional level in these sports compared to just going out in the backyard and trying to play. So I wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on that because a lot of the people out there are just saying that golf is the hardest sport of them all to play. And I'm not necessarily so sure. I think that of those sports, baseball definitely is one of the hardest sports out there to play. I mean, you've got guys that are throwing 100+ miles per hour with crazy, nasty break, and you're expected to stand up there and swing a stick. I think it was Ted Williams that said the hardest thing in all sports to do is to squarely hit a round ball with a round bat. It's got to be true, right? You know, trying to square up a round baseball that's coming at you with all that movement. And I'm not even talking about the breaking pitches like curveballs and sliders and stuff like that. Baseball is definitely up there. But one that doesn't get talked about much in regard to it being a very hard sport is mixed martial arts. This is a sport in which you literally have to know what you're doing or you could die. You're not going to get in a cage fight not knowing what you're doing out there because those guys will absolutely kill you. And for that reason, I think mixed martial arts definitely deserves to be up at the top of that list. But I know Zach and the guys from the Sportszilla podcast, Jared and Ryan, we're all going to be discussing this further, and we're probably going to come up with a top 10 list. Maybe it'll be unique to the Sportszilla podcast and the Nest podcast have our own top 10 list, and we'll kind of discuss. But we're going to have some collaborations coming up in the next few weeks. They're also going to be talking about this poll on their podcast coming up later on this week. So be sure you check that out as well. But I want to get into some of this UFC 269 recap. Sean O'Malley. This dude is absolutely electric. He goes out there every single time that I see him and puts on a show. This guy is one of the bright young fighters in the UFC, and I'm glad that he's getting showcased on these pay-per-view events so that more people can see him. He's been put on some pretty stacked cards, and for this guy to come out there and continue to just win and win and win each and every time, his only loss is because he broke his leg and literally couldn't stand, so he got kind of beat up a little bit on that one. But if you break your foot in a fight, that you're at a severe disadvantage. Sean O'Malley is a guy to keep your eyes on, and he's definitely going to be moving up these ranks. I think it's time for him to start fighting some top 10 competition. Ben Askren, former MMA champion. A lot of you probably know him from getting knocked out by Jake Paul. Ben Askren was a legit fighter over in Pride. He won several titles. He's also a legit wrestler. He tweeted out after the fight, another easy win for Sugar Sean. Move him up. Move him up in the rankings. Let's get him fighting some better talent. Let's see what he can do against guys that are in the top 10. I'm here for it. Of course, the co-main event of this pay-per-view absolutely shocked the world. We saw Juliana Pena upset the defending GOAT, two-division GOAT, Amanda Nunez. And this is a fight that I've seen people talking about online as potentially the biggest upset of all time in mixed martial arts. I've seen people floating out there, Matt Serra knocking out GSP. Yeah, that was a huge upset as well, but it was one of those lucky punches. He landed a spinning back fist punch to GSP, knocked him out. He caught him. It happens. This fight here, the first round, I had Amanda going in there and doing her thing. The second round, Pena went out there, took the fight to Nunez and beat her up standing, took her down onto the ground and choked her to where she tapped out. She had complete dominance in that second round of that fight, won the championship belt, and I'm sure they'll run this one back very soon because that was not the way that Amanda wants to go out for sure. And then in the main event of that pay-per-view, we saw Charles Oliveira score his signature victory over Dustin Poirier with a standing rear naked choke in the third round. DuBronx is the greatest submission artist that the UFC has ever seen. And he earned a lot of respect from the casuals in this one. A lot of people I know were saying, hey, I'm going to tune in to watch Dustin Poirier's fight. I'm going to tune in to watch Dustin go and get the unanimous championship and all this stuff. And I kept trying to tell him, like, hey, don't count out Oliveira. This dude is legit. He's had a very, very tough road to get to where he is now. And now he's finally starting to get some of that recognition. He's finally starting to get some respect on his name, and I'm here for it. I love this dude. I think he's electric in the octagon. He's wonderful stand-up fighting. He's also a wonderful grappler. He's a guy that could hold on to this title for a very, very long time, and I like watching him fight. And to beat all, he's very humble. He's one of these guys that, he's not going to go out there and talk smack to you. He's not going to go out there and insult your mother or say that your wife is in his DMs. And he's not going to punch an old guy in a bar or anything like that. He's going to shake your hand. He's going to talk to you before and after the fight. He's going to be humble in victory and in defeat. And he's going to go out there and put on a good show. This is the type of guy that the UFC needs to strap a rocket ship to and promote to the moon, but they won't because he's not out there being a jerk. We all know that that's what Dana White ultimately wants, is he wants the guys that are pseudo WWE guys so that they can go out there and cut promos and talk smack to everybody. But it is what it is. Let's see. It looks like Jared's not going to be able to make it on here because he's got some other stuff going on. So it might just be me tonight, guys. But you know what? Like I said, the show must go on. This is the 175th episode of the Nest podcast, and we have not missed an episode yet. We've been coming to you live every single week for 175 episodes. That's a lot, guys. That is a lot of time and effort that Zach and I have dedicated to this show. And we would hate to see it go to waste on something like this. So we're still here. We're still doing it. It's still live. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the UFC 269. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you thought about the fights, what you think going forward. What fights do you want to see? Who's going to be next for Oliveira? Should we see the Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunez rematch instantly? Or would you like to see Pena defend against somebody else first? I know a lot of people, my buddy Wallow is one of them. He's not a huge fan of the immediate rematch for a champion, but when you've had a champion as dominant as Amanda for so long, this is one of those things that she gets her rematch. And I think he agrees with that. Amanda should get a rematch. And if Pena beats her again, then you know what? Move over Amanda Nunez. Juliana Pena is now the queen of that division. But she's the champion now, so she's the one that gets to call the shots. And I was absolutely floored. I tweeted out after that fight, like, wow. And because it was just such a shock that Amanda finally was dethroned. It reminded me of whenever Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey. I was at a state of disbelief because I didn't think that Rousey was going to lose the way that she did. And then her career went way downhill after that first loss to Holly Holm. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Amanda Nunez. You know, she is still a champion in the UFC at another weight class, but she is a recent mother. She's got a little daughter now that she's taking care of and stuff like that. She was taking her gloves off after the fight, and I thought we were going to get a retirement announcement. Like, oh, wow, this is about to be epic. But she said that she's going to get back into the gym and come back stronger. So I do think she wants her rematch, but we'll see what's going on. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about all that. And let's talk a little football. You know, that's one of the reasons that people tune into our show. That's one of the reasons that people like watching and listening to the Nest podcast, is to hear what we have to say about the NFL. And I like to think that we're somewhat of the authority on some of this NFL talk, especially when it comes to fantasy football. We've helped a lot of people out this year trying to get them to win their leagues in fantasy, and we've kept a very close eye on what's been going on each and every week in the sport. And this week is no different. Just because Zach's not here doesn't mean that I didn't pay attention to what was going on on Sunday. In fact, we have a whole thread of conversations in our text messages where we talk about these games. So I can pretty much share his opinions on this as well. But the Browns beat the Ravens. You know, going into the week, I thought the Ravens were going to win this game. I thought they were going to have the better team. Lamar Jackson going out early in the in the game. I think it was the third quarter that he went out. It definitely made the Browns a little bit more of the Vegas favorites. But if you guys noticed, the Browns were up by 2 scores whenever Lamar went down with his what's being described as an ankle sprain. And they nearly came back to win without Lamar Jackson. So the Ravens rallied and they came back with their backup quarterback, almost beat the Browns, but almost wasn't good enough. The Browns were able to be victorious and move one step closer to ascending that AFC North throne. And that's going to be one that's very interesting to watch, because the Browns right now, they're just on the bubble. They're on the outside looking in. And the Ravens, if Lamar's going to miss some significant time or any time at all with this ankle injury, we could see the Ravens and the Browns flip spots real quick. And it's getting down to the nitty gritty. It's the end of the season right now. So if the Browns are going to make a run, this is the time to do it. If you remember last year, the Browns made a run right as it was getting close to the playoffs, and they had to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 weeks in a row. And they went out and did just that. So the Browns can get hot. They're built for this late season push. They're built to be a running team, to go out there and just run the ball down your throats, score just enough points to be able to beat you and advance in the playoffs. The Browns are a cold weather team. They're built for this right now. Don't count them out. And this was a huge win for them. Elsewhere in the AFC, the Chiefs absolutely owned the Raiders. This was a game that I expected would be a little bit closer going into the weekend. You know, division rivals and all that. Usually they play each other a little bit closer. Usually it's a much better matchup. The Raiders, they have been kind of hanging around as one of those fringe teams that could be on the bubble, trying to make something of their season, but they got absolutely destroyed by the Chiefs this week. A total score of 48-9. Ooh, not very good. Officially stick a fork in the Las Vegas Raiders. They are done. They can't come back from this. On the flip side, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are hot at the right time. They're rising up in the rankings. And this is the third straight game in which the Chiefs have allowed only 9 points on defense. Pretty special team that they've got going on right there. I don't know. If they get it all firing, I don't know who stops them because that's a team that they can throw up points in a hurry. Like I said, 48 points they scored against the Raiders. That's a lot for any defense to handle. Let me know in the comments what defense you think could stop the Chiefs right now because they are on an absolute tear. Let's see. We also got the Dallas Cowboys game. Dallas Cowboys, they traveled to Washington to play against the Washington football team, and they not only brought their own team, they brought their own cheerleaders, but they brought their own benches with them. That was a very, very unique move that I've never seen pulled off before. I've never seen a football team travel with their own visiting benches, but they did it. They brought the Dallas Cowboy benches from Dallas, Texas, all the way to the nation's capital, and they secured the victory 27-20. So they went out there, they got the dub. Micah Parsons, he made his presence known early and often in this one. And I think it's safe to say at this point, guys, that Micah Parsons has locked up Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think there's anybody really even close to that one. So if you were betting on it out in Vegas, you hit a lick on that one. If you haven't bet on it yet, that's a solid choice. I don't know what the odds are right now, but if it's at all close to making money, you should go ahead and throw some at it because that's going to be a for sure thing. And something else that you could probably consider is, he's definitely going to be the defensive rookie of the year, but defensive player of the year is also up there in that conversation. I think he could definitely be one of these guys that comes in and takes the league by storm and it does some of the stuff that we've never seen before. This is something that Lawrence Taylor did back in 1981, and we haven't seen it since a kid came in and got Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. It's something absolutely phenomenal. I can't explain how good this guy's been this year, but he's out there killing it. Some people, Cowboys fans mainly, are starting the MVP talks for Micah Parsons. I think it's a little bit too soon for MVP talks for this guy, but he was getting those chants walking off the field there in Washington from the Cowboys faithful that were in attendance. Just so you guys know, Lawrence Taylor, that same guy that won Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season in 1981. He's also the last defensive player to win the Most Valuable Player award, and that was all the way back in 1986. So it's been a while since these defensive guys have gotten some shine. We talk about it quite often that the MVP award has pretty much become a quarterback-only club. But if anybody's going to do it in any year, maybe this year will be the year that a defensive guy gets the clean sweep. I don't think so, though. I wouldn't make that bet. And also on Sunday, we saw not one, but two overtime thrillers in the late afternoon games. First off, we saw the 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk walk the tightrope and score a game-winning touchdown late in overtime against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like Zach and I have been saying about these Bengals, they are fun to watch. They're missing that one little thing that makes them special. And once again, this week, they fell just a little bit short. Seems like that's been a trend with them. They either go out and blow teams out that they should win, or they come up just short against these teams in these games where it's a toss-up. And they've got something very good brewing in Cincinnati. I think they're going to be very good for several years to come. They just need to get over the hump. They need to get that little extra thing that they're missing. And I think it's their defense, and I think it's on their offensive line. Joe Mixon wasn't really a huge factor in this game. He's been good all season, but this game he wasn't really a huge factor. And they can only throw the ball so much. Jamar Chase got a couple touchdowns. T. Higgins was out there trying to catch some balls. Tyler Boyd was utilized, but they didn't ever get that run game established in this one against the 49ers, and they were just lacking that extra little push. The Bengals will get it together, but the 49ers got them this past week. And then in the other overtime thriller that we saw a certain future Hall of Fame quarterback recording his 700th career touchdown. That includes regular season and postseason. Of course, I'm talking about Tom Brady. He's the only one that's played long enough and has the postseason accolades along with the regular season to equal 700. But that's a huge number of touchdowns. And the 700th touchdown happened to be the game winner in overtime that was taken for a 58-yard reception all the way to the house. This game against the Bills was really a tale of two halves. The first half, the Bucs went out there and they just dominated. They were up something like 27-3 or something like that at halftime. They were killing it. They went out there. They absolutely dominated the first half. The second half, the Bills came back down from 21 points. They came back and tied the game 21 straight, tied it up, sent the game to overtime, even had a shot in overtime to win the game, but they ultimately weren't able to capitalize, kick the ball back to Brady. Brady drove the entire length of the field. Like I said, that 58-yard pass to the end zone definitely helped out. It was a catch and run, but that definitely helped them move the ball quickly down the field. Touchdown, Bucs win. They go on celebrating, fire the cannons, all that good stuff. But my question that I wanted to ask, and go ahead and drop it in the comments what you think. How much does this loss really hurt the Bills and their chance to win the AFC East? They're now down, I believe it's 2 games in the AFC East to the New England Patriots. And they still have another one heads up, so they can make that one back relatively easy. But they're fading. They are not the team that we all thought that they were. They've lost 2 straight now. They just don't look like the dominant presence that everyone thought that the Bills were going to be going into this season. So it is what it is. Sorry about that, Bills fans. Longtime listeners know that one of my favorite bands is Every Time I Die, and they're a huge band out of Buffalo, New York. They're all huge Bills fans. So to all of my idiots out there, I'm sorry, but go Pats. And on Sunday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers continued to show his absolute ownership of the Chicago Bears. The Bears looked good during the first half, but after halftime, Rodgers came out and did what Rodgers does, throwing 341 yards and 4 touchdowns along the way. Devontae Adams was an absolute monster in this one as well. He balled out with 10 receptions, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Pack, they're rolling. This team is as good as they come right now. It's between the NFC and the AFC. It's very interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so that you guys can kind of see as well. I want to look at the current playoff picture, what's going on in the standings and all that stuff. And as you see, we got over on the NFC side, we've got the Arizona Cardinals sitting at first place, but then you got the Packers and the Bucs, and that they're all right there in their cluster. They're all 10-3 or 10-2 respectively, and those 3 teams are just absolutely on fire. The Cowboys at 9-4, sitting at first place in the NFC East. They're also a lock. But after that, the NFC kind of gets a little bit dodgy. The Rams play the Cardinals tonight, so if they can pull out a win, then that's a huge win for them. But if not, they're 3 games back in the division if they lose. The 49ers are several games back in that division. The Washington football team, several games back in that division, just coming off a loss. So the top 4 are solid, but everyone else is suspect. Over in the AFC side of the house, things are a little bit different. I think if the matchmakers were really going to sit down and do this evenly, they could easily pick 10 teams from the AFC and only 4 teams from the NFC and have an absolute dynamite playoffs. But this is what we get. We get 7 teams from each division, and these are the 14 teams that would be in the playoffs if the season ended today. Of course, over on the AFC, the number 1 seed would be the New England Patriots, much to the chagrin of many people out there. But they're doing their thing. They had a bye this week, and they actually improved their standings a little bit off of this bye because the Ravens lost, because the Bills lost. Everything that was happening seemed to be coming up roses for the Patriots. Yeah, the Titans won. Yeah, the Chiefs won, but that just kind of benefited themselves a little bit. The Patriots are out there looking good. The Chargers, that they won a big game this week, so they were able to stay in that number 5 slot. And this is a team that if they get going, they could have a nice little run into the playoffs. They have a very high octane offense. They get Keenan Allen back off the COVID reserve. That's another weapon they add to that arsenal. The Los Angeles Chargers could make a run. These Indianapolis Colts, they are scary too. For a 7-6 team, they are probably the best 7-6 team in the entire NFL, running literally on the backs of Jonathan Taylor. This team has been surging. They're up 3 spots from last week in the rankings. They were on the bubble last week. This is a team to keep an eye out for. Speaking of the bubble, let's scroll down and look at the teams that are currently on the bubble. In the AFC, like I said earlier, these Browns, don't count them out just yet. They could easily wind up making a run and knocking off the Ravens that are up here. Ravens 8-5, Browns 7-6. The Browns could easily knock them off, flip spots with them, and be a playoff contender. The Bengals are still there, but I think they're missing just a few pieces to really make a run. And the Broncos, they've been surging as well. They're making a run for it. So, like I said, there could be easily 10 teams out here in the AFC that can make the playoffs. It's going to be a fun one to watch going down the stretch. I know they're not eliminated yet, but like I said, put a fork in the Raiders. They're done. The Dolphins, as much as Jared wants to sit there and say that they're going to be, ready to do the thing and they're going to make a run at it, stick a fork in the Miami Dolphins. They're done. They're going to end up coming down to week 17 and needing a win to get into the playoffs or something like that, and they're going to choke. Jerome is saying that the Vikings have juice as well. Absolutely. On the NFC side of the ball, the Vikings out here sitting at 6-1, they could make a run for it. The only problem with the Vikings is I feel like they don't have that clutch performance. They don't have the clutch bones, if you will. They try so hard to get there, but then they fail on the last drive or on a last second field goal or something like that. The Vikings, yeah, they could make a run. I don't think they're going to catch the Packers in that NFC North division, but they could surpass one of these little wild card teams down here. So the Vikings aren't out of it yet. The Saints aren't out of it yet either. That's a team that now that they have Kamara back, maybe they could start getting some mojo going. I could see the Saints trying to put a little thing going on. The Eagles, I don't really see them doing too much this season. I see them continuing to drop down some more. The Falcons, they're not going to make a run at it. The Panthers, they're done. The Seahawks, they're trying to surge, but they're done. The Giants are done. The Bears are done. And then, of course, these 4 teams have already been eliminated from the playoffs. It seems like it's the same teams every year down here, doesn't it? You would think, Houston Texans, they've kind of had a weird year because of the whole Deshaun Watson situation and stuff like that. But for years, they were one of these bottom feeder teams before they got Deshaun, and they were good. But that it's usually these 4 teams down here that just kind of suck, and it is what it is. But the Jags, they'll get another top 3 draft pick again this year. The Lions will get another top probably 1 draft pick. The Jets will also get another top 3 draft pick. So you think after getting so many of these top picks, eventually they would be good. And they say Bill Belichick doesn't know how to draft. Maybe they need to look in the mirror at some of these teams. Yeah, you would think that the draft would help him out. Horrible managing. Absolutely, Jerome. I agree. Yeah, so let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the Sunday games. I thought that they were pretty good. I thought they were fun. I like the way that it shook up the playoff picture a little bit. We got some teams rising up, some teams falling back down. Let me know. Let me know what teams you think could make it to the playoffs. I want to hear what all of you guys have to say as well. And let's see. I'll go on and move into my fantasy studs and duds of the week. Guys, we had some good ones this week. Of course, Josh Allen led all quarterbacks this week, and he was an absolute monster. But my fantasy stud for quarterback has to be Tom Brady. This dude is 97 years old and still going out there putting up numbers each and every week. This week, he put up 30.12 points in fantasy. He had 363 yards passing, including that 58-yard game winner to beat the Bills. He also rushed for 16 yards. Tom Brady, believe it or not, 16 rushing yards. He has well over 1,000 rushing yards in his career. Not something that you would really expect from Tom Brady, but he's done it. He also had 3 total touchdowns in this one. One of those touchdowns, you got it, was a rushing touchdown. Tom Brady is my fantasy stud quarterback of the week. My dud quarterback, and I'm going to get beat up for this, I know, because normally I don't put a guy that got injured as a dud, but Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is my dud quarterback of the week. He had 1.18 points. He had 17 passing yards and only 5 rushing yards. I know he left the game early because he was injured and he had his ankle injury and all that stuff. But the Ravens were down 2 scores when Lamar was in the game. He was not a difference maker. He was not the difference, the X factor, if you will, in this game that Lamar Jackson normally is. He was not performing at that level. And for that reason, he's got to be my dud. Welcome back, Dalvin Cook. My running back stud of the week is Dalvin Cook. This dude posted 35.2 points, rushing for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a fantasy stud. This is the type of performance that we expect out of these guys whenever we draft them in the top 5 of our drafts every year. This is the kind of game that Dalvin Cook should have consistently. He just doesn't for whatever reason. But he killed it. Yeah, he cooked you, didn't he, John? Yeah, I know that. You guys cooked yourself there with the last minute play with Claypool as well. I want to hear what you've got to say about that. What do you think about Chase Claypool? Is he the next in the line of Steelers diva wide receivers? Is he also going to be the next one that gets paid? You couldn't stop the ball, but you were stopping Alexander Madison. That dude didn't get off at all. It was Dalvin Cook that you couldn't stop. My running back dud of the week is Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson for the Washington football team. He posted 4.1 points, 36 yards rushing. He only had 36 yards rushing, 2 catches for 5 yards, and he had a very costly fumble. Can I get on and talk about that? Yeah, sure. I'll send you an invite. Give me just a second. I'll send you an invite. So we're going to bring in JC, the big dog, here in just a moment. I'm going to send him out the invite and we'll get him on here so we can talk about his Steelers a little bit. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk about my Antonio Gibson's my dud. My stud wide receiver is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase for the Cincinnati Bengals. He had himself a ball game. He went out there and dropped 25.3 points. He only had 5 receptions for 77 yards, but 2 of those receptions were touchdowns. Gotta love to see that because that's what scores the big points. You know what I'm saying? So he's out there doing his thing. I'm glad Jamar Chase is finally back in, scoring touchdown mode and getting those good points that he was getting so much of early in the season. Gotta love it. And then for the second consecutive week, my wide receiver dud is Travis Kelsey. In fact, he posted the same exact stat line that he posted last week. 5.7 points, 3 catches for 27 yards. This is 2 weeks in a row that Kelsey has only given you 5.5 points. This is not why people drafted Travis Kelsey in the first round of their drafts. He went usually around the 10th overall pick in a lot of people's drafts. Getting 10 points over 2 weeks span from this guy is not at all what you expected. especially when you consider that the Viking or the Chiefs scored, what was it, 48 points, and Kelsey was a very small amount of that. That's not at all what people wanted to see whenever they drafted Travis Kelsey on there. I don't know. Beating him up 2 weeks in a row. I'm actually kind of glad that I traded him in one of my leagues, and I got a little bit back. In that deal, I ended up with Austin Eckler, who has been an absolute fantasy monster. If you see on the screen, that's an Austin Eckler autographed helmet right there. So I'm a big fan of the guy anyway. So it was nice for me to be able to pick him up in that fantasy league, and got rid of the Travis Kelsey that hasn't really produced much. Sent the leak, so I'm waiting on Big Dog to come on here and talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers with me, because I am excited to hear about what he thinks about Claypool, about Big Ben announcing that he's going to be retiring soon, and just all around what's going on with the Steelers, because that is a team that definitely needs some help. All right, he says he's on his way. Claypool is acting like a diva, and he ain't done none yet. Yeah, I agree. He definitely has not performed like the guy that you would, hope that he would from the promise that I guess he had. Let's see. All right, thanks for all the likes, guys. I'm feeling all the likes and the heart reactions and stuff tonight. If you guys like this where it's just me by myself, then who knows? Maybe I'll do a few more of these throughout the weeks and stuff like that to just kind of get on here and talk, because I have days where I just want to talk sports, and I know running a show like this, it's hard to get other people lined up to come on and just talk with you. So I might come on here and do that every now and then. All right, but without further ado, I would like to welcome into the show the big dog himself, John Collier. John, what is happening?
What up, man? What up, man? Man, I tell you, man. Here's what I will say. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not a playoff team, as I addressed on several occasions. We can't run the ball. We can't stop the run. It's so bad. And when you're down 29-0, how often does it happen where you come back, a team comes back from that? How often does that happen? Normally teams throwing a white flag. Normally it happens, but my timing doesn't. And look what we came back 28 plus unanswered points. You know what I'm saying, in this game. You know what I'm saying? So when you watch that, understanding we in 2-minute drill, there's no more timeouts. We have to get down the field. So we are 4th and 1. You pick up a big first down, and you're celebrating. While on top of that, the time is running down. So you celebrating, you over here doing your Usain Bolt, like, or whatever you think you were doing, and you costing us time. So that right there, you costing us time now. You know what I'm saying? So Trey Turner trying to get the ball from him. You know what I'm saying? He like knocked it out of his head because he want to let go of the ball. Like, what are you doing? We need the ball. What are you doing? So we finally get the ball finally gets snapped. We finally snap the ball. He get upset and going to get mad at the offensive line. But it doesn't stop there. You go on media and let them know that the offensive line was the blame for why we lost, when you clearly could see the video of what really happened. Are you serious? The worst thing you ever could do is tell the media you have a problem with your own teammates. That is the worst thing you ever could do. You want to know why? Because that creates friction. That I think is a problem now. That is a story right there. And why would you do that? The last person that did this was Antonio Brown when he targeted Juju, and then Monte Bryan did it too. And we suspended Monte Bryan for that. AB, we let him get away with it. But Claypool's acting like a diva. And you don't deserve to act like a diva because you did nothing yet. Between you and AB was already considered the best receiver in the game when he was doing what he was doing. So he has some leeway because of that. You only in your second year. And you doing this? Why? You show no discipline, lack of discipline. Yo, I'll tell you right now, I told people this on my podcast. If that was Bill Belichick, Claypool would never start the field again, because that's not tolerated. And in Foxborough, you would not do that on that field with Bill Belichick. You would listen. Bill Belichick benched his best corner in the Super Bowl against the Eagles because he was showing up late to practices. You don't tolerate this here. And I wish Mike Tomlin would do the same thing. Yeah, he benched him for certain amount of quarters. No, he should have came back. If you ask me, Claypool should be benched for next week. That's not tolerated here. We can't have you act like a diva, and you've done nothing yet. I feel like if Claypool could be more focused on football, he could be one of the best out there. He really is good. But the problem is he's not focused. You fumbled the ball too in that game too, but they gave it to us. I think you fumbled. You know what I'm saying? But it just goes to show like we have lack of discipline in this locker room. We really do. Really do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he does have the potential to be up there. I've got a video pulled up right now. It's a clip, top and bottom. The top clip is Larry Fitzgerald in kind of like the same time crunch where he's got to catch the ball, get back to the line so they can spike it. And then that play that we're talking about with Claypool. So you can kind of watch them both at the same time. I'll run it 2 or 3 times so that we can actually watch both of them. So you see Larry Fitz gets the ball. He gets up, he runs back, hands the ball to the
absolutely.
They get ready. Boom, they're clocking it. And then you go back and you watch it again and you watch with what Claypool does. You know, he catches it, he gets up, he does his little celebration where he gets the point, first down, and then the lineman comes up, he smacks the ball. Come on, man, let's go. We gotta move. And they ended up losing like what was it, like 14 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, 14 seconds off the clock because he wanted to be a jackass, and that's what he is. So I gave him donkey today on my podcast for that because you just show lack of discipline, man. This is disgusting, man. You know what I'm saying? I just can't believe. Like he would even. Did you forget we had 2 of Did you forget we have no timeouts? What are you doing? What is your thinking process? Then you go to media and you blame the offensive line. Now, granted, the offensive line did not play well, but to be shamed by your own teammates is not good. If Claypool continues to act like this, we need to trade him now. I'm calling. He got to go because this happened with Antonio Brown. But we let him go, and it became a debacle at the end. But we gave him leeway because he was considered the best receiver in the league at that time. But if we see this is happening early, we need to go to get rid of Claypool right now because I can't do this, man. I was just about to get this man jerseys today. The other day, I was actually going to get it, but I'm not no more because you're not disciplined. You're not showing me you want to be a Steeler, man. You want to be a TikToker. You want to act like Juju Smith-Schuster. You and him got the top two probably worst slumps I ever seen. Last year, Claypool was a touchdown machine. He only got nothing but 2. One of them was running in, and he actually caught one. Yeah. He's not the same. Like, I don't know.
If I'm you, I'm getting that Deuce jersey.
Like, because I'm disgusted, and then just the team overall, I just don't understand. Ben plays one of the best performances in the fourth quarter. He's first in yardage, he's first in TDs, he's fourth in PPRs in the fourth quarter. I just wish we played that the entire game, not playing catch up. He seems to do that. It's great stats, but he tends to do it when we in crunch time, when we play catch up. It is not good. We did the same thing against the Chargers. They were blowing us out. If we come back and forth, we down by touchdown. This game was by 8 points. But Freiermuth should have caught that ball too. Dante Johnson also missed the catch. It just sucks, man. It sucks, man. I just never thought in the many years I thought my line would be this bad. I really took for granted our 12 to 14, 15, 16, 17 year offensive line because we consider one of the best lines, and I miss those days. When we had Le'Veon Bell, we had one of the best lines in the game, and I really took that for granted now, and I'm seeing how bad and how important the offensive line is. I didn't realize how bad it was. I always thought we always going to have a good line as long as we had Pouncey, you know what I'm saying? So I always thought that in my mind, but I should have known at some point in time it was going to be over. Now, granted, the offensive line is developing, so I'm not going to say they're trash. They're developing. They haven't reached their peak yet. So they're not going to be very good. You know what I'm saying? But despite all of that, Najee Harris still is on the verge of getting 1,000 yards this season. He's damn near close. He got 100 and I want to say 70, I want to say yards, or maybe a little less than that before he reaches 1,000 yards with this horrible line. But the problem is it just took so many attempts to get that because the offensive line is not good. It took 24 carries to get 94 yards.
Something about these Bama guys that came out of that organization this past draft. They've been phenomenal this season.
Absolutely.
But you were talking about Ben Roethlisberger a little bit. I want to pick your brain. You know, it's been widely rumored and floated around that this is going to be his last season. As a Steeler fan, does that scare you to death? Because what do? We know Mason Rudolph ain't the answer. So what's going to happen there?
All right, I'm going to be honest with you. You may call me a little homer about this, but of course I'm scared. You know what I'm saying? Because after having been, we had this quarterback for 18 years, almost 2 decades. You know what I'm saying? So of course, but at the same time, I know his time is up, man. He's a stationary quarterback. Let's call it for what it is. Right now, he's a stationary quarterback. I feel like if we had a great line, it would be a lot different. He could be a Tom Brady like. You know what I'm saying? When he have potential, he had time to make the plays. But the problem is we don't have the defensive line that Brady has, or anybody. I wish we had the Detroit Lions line if you ask me. But outside of that, of course I'm nervous. Of course I'm scared. But I'm excited too because I'm looking for a new chapter. Everybody in the AFC North has moved on from their old quarterback. Cleveland did it a bunch of times. The Baltimore with Joe Flacco. You know what I'm saying? Cleveland and the Bengals with Eddie Dalton. They moved over there and they have these young talented guys. Yeah, Baker is a question every now and then, but Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson is talented. They really are. You know what I'm saying? And I want that. I'm so jealous of the fact that we still hanging on to this man. And it's over. It's time that we all understand that. Now, what I will say, I'm hoping that we can pull a Aaron Rodgers like a Russell Wilson, like Deshaun Watson if his shit is clear. But that's just me hoping. You know what I'm saying? Hoping for that. But there's rumors that we could possibly go after either one of those guys, but it depends on what we're going to do. So for now, so as of right now, yes, of course I am, but I'm excited at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think that's the way that you should be. And, as a Patriots fan, I know what it's like to experience a long tenured quarterback and then them leaving,
right.
like that's a scary feeling as a fan because what are you going to get next? We had the year with Cam Newton, the Cam Newton experience in New England, and that was something that was definitely a down year. It's led to us getting Mac Jones, and now we've got our new toy. But yeah, it is a scary, but it's also an exciting experience. As you see, I'm a big Mac Jones fan.
Absolutely, I am too. I told you that before. I'm a big Mac Jones fan. I love him, man. So for me, like I feel like I kind of regret keeping Ben for so long, but at the same time, who do we trust? Anybody we brought in never was good. We brought in Landry Jones, he did no good. We brought in Mason, he did no good. So here's what I will say to you, to everybody. I'm saying this on my podcast and other podcasts I've been on. If we get eliminated from the postseason, we still have games left. Let's put Haskins. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do. Because what if he becomes the dominant in the rough that we've been looking for? What if he does? You know what I'm saying? And if he does it, it's okay. Because, like I said, I'm not retrieving about it. But like I said, at the same time, I would love to see what he can bring to the table. Mason Rudolph is not it. I'm not sure why they signed him for one more year for. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? But for me, like, I want to see what he can. If we get eliminated, which I feel like we are, let's put Haskins in. Let's see what he can do with our number ones. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, Haskins. Do you also have Josh Dobbs on the roster as well?
He had our practice squad. Yeah, he's on the practice squad.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs is a guy that I felt like never really got a fair shake in the NFL. He was drafted to Pittsburgh, traded to Jacksonville, traded back to Pittsburgh, and it never really got a fair shake. He was good in college at Tennessee, and he's a very smart guy.
Yeah, very smart.
He's an aeronautical engineer. He can easily walk away from the NFL and get a job at NASA. And but
I think the thing with Joshua Dobbs, I don't know if it's true or not, but just going with what I think may be the case is that we don't do the mobility, the running thing. You know, so we've always been a franchise with people that with big arms, good arms, big arms. You know what I'm saying? And he's not one of those guys. Like he got an arm, yeah, but he's not that big like a Mason Rudolph or like a Ben arm. He don't have it, and I don't think we too much on the mobility thing. Which I would love to do, because nowadays quarterbacks got to be able to take off. You see Tom Brady still taking off, and he's 44 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I think I would love to have mobility in Pittsburgh as far as a quarterback, but then again, I don't think we feel in that. So I think we like pocket passers more than their mobile quarterbacks, mobility quarterbacks, though.
And last question I have for you about the Steelers, and this one I don't know how you're going to answer. You might be on the fence with this one, but is Mike Tomlin starting to get on a bit of a hot seat?
Man, I've asked this question a lot, man. I ain't gonna lie. As much as I want to say yeah, I'm going to say no, because I don't think all this is on him. All the defense stuff is acting up. The defense are not playing the way they are. I really feel like Mike Tomlin is giving it his all. I just feel like they're not giving it back to him in return. When I say that, I say like when we're down and out, Mike Tomlin finds a way. I can tell you about 2 years ago when Ben Roethlisberger went down. If you asked me any year why I told you we could have had a losing season, it'd have been that year. We finished the season 8-8 and almost made the postseason if it wasn't for Cleveland. No, if they'd be Baltimore, we'd been in the postseason. You know what I'm saying? And he did not give up. He traded a first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Minkah Fitzpatrick was named damn near the best safety and the lead at that time. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like whenever he makes these type of moves, we don't give it back to him in return. And I feel like that's where I feel like we lack at. So I want as much as I want the year because at the same time I still gotta blame him because he is the head coach. You take some blame because he is the head coach, but at the same time, I don't think so. I can't really say put on I don't think it's all his fault.
The reason that I would say like, hey, maybe things are getting a little bit hot for him is because this is a trend now. It happened with AB. It's happened. It happened with Juju. Now it's happening with Claypool. And then on top of all that, he's only 8-8 in the playoffs. Yeah, I know he's never had a losing season up until this point in this season and all this stuff. But 8-8 in the playoffs, not the best record.
No, you're right.
For an organization that 2-3 decades ago was Super Bowl or bust.
You're right.
Now, are you starting to accept mediocrity? I don't know. Part of the reason that he's 8-8 in the playoffs is because he's ran into the Patriots several years.
Lord.
And with that being said, I want to bring in another guest tonight who just happens to be a huge Patriots fan, and that's the Godfather.
What up,
Jim? How you doing, buddy?
How you guys doing tonight? Is this a no smoking show?
You're in your own house. I guess you can do what you got to do.
Right. I mean, yeah.
I can only stay a few minutes. I'm going out with my friends later on, playing some pool and drinking. So,
yeah, we've only got a few more minutes left anyway, so it's all good. So, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Good. Good. I have a couple of days off from work, so I'm doing very well.
Oh, very nice.
Resting up, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely. The Pats had a bye week this week, so they didn't have to play. You didn't have to agonize over any games or anything like that. But there were a few things that benefited the New England Patriots this week. I talked about it earlier in the show with the Bills losing, and that was a huge win for the Pats in and of itself.
Oh, for sure it was.
I can't believe that was a great game. That really was a great game. A lot of PRs that should have been called twice, maybe 3 times, but no. You're a Tampa base. What do you expect?
Sure. Yeah, it was a great one. I talked about it earlier. In fact, I named the episode "Overtime Thriller" because of that game and the Bengals and 49ers game as well. But it was pretty fantastic to see. And, Tom getting his 700th career touchdown, pretty spectacular.
Right.
Jim and I got to watch about 640 of those or so.
Right.
Yeah. So
I didn't get a chance to watch any of the games. It's sad reacts only. I'm sorry. I know everyone just started crying. I was working. I can't really be on my phone at work, but I was kind of sneaking a peek at some of the scores. I couldn't really watch any of the games live. It's the first time in a long, long time. So I was kind of having a sad moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't had to work on a Sunday in, I don't know, probably a decade or so. So I'm pretty lucky with that. But I definitely would be pretty upset if I didn't get my weekly fix of NFL football. But at least it was a week that the Pats didn't play, so you didn't have to miss anything.
Benefited.
Right.
And they play Saturday night this coming week. So hopefully you'll be off work then.
They do. Yep.
Yeah. So we can look ahead if you want to a little bit on that one. They play the scorching hot Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
so that's going to be an interesting one. Vegas actually has the New England Patriots as the dogs going into this one. So that's pretty interesting that the number 1 seed is the underdog to the number 6 seed.
Right.
See, there you go.
Yeah, right. I like it. So, I can't wait for that.
What do you guys think? Do you think that the New England Patriots defense can stop the running attack of Jonathan Taylor?
I think you can. Bill Belichick is a defensive-minded guy. You got to remember that. So he's the type of guy that I say your best players. And right now, their best player, Jonathan Taylor. So they shut their running game down, which I think they're going to do. Yeah, they can do it.
Oh, for sure. I think so as well. I mean, again, I'm biased. Of course they're going to win. Why would I say otherwise? Honestly, I think they're going to go undefeated the rest of the season. That's right here. You heard it here first. Undefeated the rest of the season.
Wow, that is a bold take from the Godfather. Let's see what they're
very bold and very true. Look what we have. Look what we have.
Let's see. I'm pulling it up now. The Patriots play the Colts, then they play the Bills, then they play the Jaguars, and then the Dolphins. So the next 2 weeks are going to be the toughest for sure.
Right. Okay.
Right. Well,
okay. Here's what I will say. You tend to have a problem with Miami at the end of the season all the time. I don't know why, which I like losing to them the last week of the season. I don't know if that's a curse thing. I don't know if I feel sorry for them to give them, but right now they're looking real good. They can possibly make the postseason too. You know, so outside them, I think your schedule, if you can get past the Bills and the Colts, yeah, I think so.
Yep. Like you said, the Dolphins do usually present a problem for the New England Patriots, but the Patriots already lost to the Dolphins once
already.
They usually split, so yeah,
Right.
there's that.
But when we lost to them, we were at home, right?
Right, and that was week 1 of this season.
Yeah,
right.
We won. Right, yeah, I have an issue with them. I don't know why. What's going on there? But every year y'all do that. So I don't know.
It's just the division matchups, man. That's how it works. You know, like everybody in the division plays each other a lot harder than teams outside of the division.
Right.
You're built to play against the teams that you play the most. So it just happens that way. Plus, Brian Flores is a Bill Belichick disciple, if you will.
Right.
So he knows the man inside and out. So he knows how to coach against it.
Right. Oh yeah, real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Bill Belichick, man. He understood the assignment. He knew how windy that stadium was and knew what it was going to be, and understood the assignment. He ran the ball. He said, "Yeah, we're not going to throw this ball a lot. If we run the ball down the throat, it's going to be a problem." And only threw it 3 times. Picked 2 of the 3, while Josh Allen tried to throw it down the field. I don't know why. You just didn't understand. And then what made it worse, they couldn't stop the run either. So I ran all over those guys, man. So. Shout out to Bill Belichick. He's a mastermind, man. I got head coach of the year. He's a mastermind. It's ridiculous.
But I personally think that Jones could have ran the ball more than he didn't, from what I saw. And I think he could have thrown the ball too. I know it was very windy in Buffalo that night, but I think he could have,
He could have.
He could have taken his chances.
Bill Belichick was like, "Nah, we got the run. The running ain't gonna do it. They couldn't stop the run. So why? Why throw the ball? They couldn't stop the run. Why?"
Right.
Yeah, the one thing about the run that is a guarantee is it's going to keep the clock moving.
Absolutely.
That's what the Patriots wanted to do.
They understood the assignment.
They understood. And they executed, and the defense was able to hold up. Like you said, Josh Allen was trying to throw the ball all over the place. He ended up 15 for 30 in that game. Not great stats. So,
all right, can we talk about something real quick? Now, when I was watching that game, I forget who it was. He got injured. The last 2 minutes or whatever it was.
You're talking about when the Bills fans booed, right?
Yes. All right. I'm gonna play kind of devil's advocate for them for a second. I heard the announcer say, "Whoa, when they were celebrating, he looked fine when they were celebrating, but all of a sudden he's on the ground, hurt, dying." Now I heard, then my friends gave me a bunch of crap, like, "Oh, that's how they are. They cheat, whatever." But you know what? I think they probably might have done something not right there. I don't know. Know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I got a big Patriots fan I talked to, and everybody was getting on y'all. If you got history of cheating, he told everybody, "If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying." And I thought it was the funniest thing on earth. So I mean, it is what it is, man.
And we just suck at it. That's what it is.
Right.
I mean, let's face it. They all cheat.
Right, everybody do. Everybody had a little moment. I just get caught. That's all it is. But yeah, shout out to the Bill Belichick, man. Mastermind.
I'm just drooling over that man cave that this man has. Holy crap! That's all I gotta say.
I appreciate that. Yeah, my wife and I we built this awesome display back here.
That's dope.
My wife does a lot of carpentry and woodworking and stuff like that as her hobby. And I told her, I was like, "Look, I'm sick of a blank wall behind me. I'm sick of using the green screen and everything getting all crazy and all that stuff." And I found a picture online of a like a case like this, and I was like, "I want something like this." And she was like, "All right, let's get the wood and let's start."
That shit dope. That is dope.
So, yeah, it looks like locker room ish. You know what I'm saying?
It's like a locker room. It's like you walk into it.
I like it. Well.
You inspired me a little bit. I got a little game room too here, but it ain't much right now, so we're not gonna show that. It's all green screen right now. But I'm definitely to get on your level though.
Now you guys were talking about something interesting, and I had to pull it up real quick. And before we go, I want to just share it. there's this website called yourteamcheats.com.
Right.
That's it right there. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
And you can go on here, and as you see, there's like these little numbers beside each team. Here's New England with 27.
27. Yep.
Look how many teams have more than that. Miami Dolphins, New York Jets with
Jets.
51.
Yeah. Yep.
Cheat.
I've found that website quite a few times to prove points to people that say, "Oh, your team cheats," and well, no.
Like you said, y'all cheat, but y'all everybody cheats, but y'all don't want to get caught.
It's not even that they're the ones that get caught. It's the ones that they get blown out of proportion because they're winning Super Bowls.
Right.
If it would have been the case that the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have been caught 44 times, if they were winning the recent Super Bowls, their dirty laundry would be aired. Let's just click on the Pittsburgh Steelers since we have you on.
Oh shit!
I'm sure we cheated. I'm sure we did. I'm sure.
2013. That's a fairly recent one.
Yeah.
1970 through 2007, steroid gate. Y'all pumping your guys up to win them Super Bowls.
Everybody pumping it. Everybody use steroids. Stop it.
Performance
Salary
enhancing drugs,
cap gate.
all that stuff.
So you got a little bit of everything in there. Just throwing that out there. Go ahead and go to yourteamcheats.com and you can see how many times your team has cheated and look at all the sins of your team's past.
Hey, so real question before you wrap it up. I have a question. Do y'all really believe Tom Brady deflated those balls?
No.
What they say he did.
You have a car, right? You
Right.
drive a car.
Mm-hmm.
So
Here we go.
You know whenever you go outside in the wintertime and you start your car and you press the little button to read the sensor of your air pressure tire,
Right.
that they go down when it's cold outside.
Very cold. Yep.
That the air pressure goes down. It's science. That's what happens to your tire. A tire is made out of what? Rubber. It holds air inside of it, right?
Right.
A football, what does it do? It's got a rubber bladder that holds football, or it holds air inside of it. When it gets cold outside, like it is in New England in late December, early January, the air pressure goes down. It's science.
I like that. Because I can't say he didn't. I can't say he did. I wasn't in the locker room. But to hear it just sounds bizarre. And they spin him anyway. Then he come back to win the Super Bowls. It didn't matter. You pissed Brady on he wins the Super Bowl.
That's the thing. If it was someone like, say, Jared Goff or whatever, someone that's not known like Tom Brady, it'd be swept right under that little NFL rug. You know that. You know that for a fact. Because it was Tom Brady, and at that time he has won 5 or 6 Super Bowls prior to that, I think. Of course he's going to be blown up all out of proportion. Come on.
And to further that just a little bit more, that game against the Indianapolis Colts where the interception happened right before halftime, the score at halftime in that game was 17-7. Okay? Not a complete blowout. The final score of that game, 45-7. So in the second half, after they had intercepted the ball, which they claimed was the deflated ball, the Patriots came out in the second half and scored 28 points on them. After they were monitoring the balls, after they were checking to make sure that everything wasn't deflated. They scored more with the balls that the Colts wanted them to play with.
See,
why is it an issue?
I like it. I like that clarity.
That's why we're the champs, and that's why I am the people's champ. And we thank everybody that's out there for watching and for commenting along and joining us on the show. John, Godfather, thank you guys for joining me. John, you want to go ahead and plug your podcast? Let the people know.
I appreciate that. As always, man, we got the extra point with me and my boy B. Triller. We on every Saturday between the times of 6 and 8. We staggering right now because we have to find a fit time. So we either have it at 6 or either at 8 o'clock, but it's a Saturday, 8 o'clock on the NFL Home Field Advantage. I definitely got to get you guys on the show once again, you know what I'm saying? Especially Jim, I definitely got to get you on too. I'll talk about that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you guys every Saturday. It's 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Awesome. Godfather Claus, you want to plug anything?
My Facebook group that I can't really have anything to do with right now. NFL Trash Talk Crazies. Follow us.
Yep, NFL Trash Talk Crazies on Facebook. If you like to talk trash about football, go ahead and join it. They're a lot of fun. Chances are you'll end up with a Facebook ban or two because of that group, but it is what it is.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for watching and tuning in and making this show what it is each and every week. Like I said earlier, this is the 175th episode in a row. We have not missed an episode the entire time we've been doing it. And even when Zach's not here, we still knock him out of the park. So we appreciate you guys for coming out here and being part of that. You guys have anything else you want to add?
That's it. Check us out at Home Field Advantage, man.
All right, guys. We out.
We out.